Chattanooga, you're listening to all new Nooga Radio and NoogaRadio.com here on 92.7 FM. The show is Clutch with Keon Rose. Usually I follow Sport Talk with Sam Jordan, but I do have to apologize to Sam Jordan because our program director, Mike Steele, and I may or may not have hijacked his show brutally and in the worst fashion possible. So I both apologize and thank him for letting us just absolutely take over his show to talk politics for whatever reason, though, you know, loosely tied into sports. But I do want to get into an awful lot today because Esther's story is running deeper, and it's starting to get to the level of the NCAA and what the NCAA should be doing to punish schools and what it's not doing. And I have an opinion that might run counter to some to the prevailing school of thought, let's say, because that there's a group of people that think, oh no, Larry Nassar committed violations at the University of Michigan State. He should be, I mean, he's being punished by the law, but the university should be punished by the NCAA. And I don't think so. I actually don't think so. And I'll tell you why. But first, I want to talk about Nick Saban, because Nick Saban, to me, at Alabama, is Bill Belichick and the Patriots, right? Like, this is the thing that makes it so that nobody actually wants to watch the Patriots in yet another Super Bowl, is that you continue to see them and they continue to dominate. And there's a certain level of thought about 5 years ago, 6 years ago, where people are like, wow, the Patriots are incredibly lucky. They're incredibly fortunate to be in the position that they're in. And people believe this. And I go, you know, you can't be lucky for that long. You can't be. Okay, you can't be lucky and be LeBron. You can't be lucky and be Jordan. You can't be lucky and be Belichick. You can't be lucky and be Saban. Like, there's a certain level of skill that is actually happening here. And Nick Saban has promoted Mike Locksley. It's official now. He's been promoted Mike Locksley to offensive coordinator. And it tells you everything you need to know about Nick Saban's opinion about offense, which is that Nick Saban does not care about offense. He doesn't care. Mike Locksley is Nick Saban's fourth offensive coordinator in 2 years, right? And this is a man that the week before the national title game a year ago went through two offensive coordinators in a week and almost won the game. Right. Went through two dudes 1 week, almost won the game. And were it not for the heroics of Deshaun Watson, he wins it. He wins it. That is insane to me. So people are going to worry about Mike Locksley. They're going to worry about what he's capable of doing. They're going to complain throughout the season when Alabama has their offensive struggles. And they will have their offensive struggles. You will always have offensive struggles when you change offensive coordinators. You will. You don't have a choice. This is for every single change that happens in life. If you change it, you're going to struggle for a little bit. Now, hopefully you don't continue to struggle. You don't stay struggling. You advance, you improve, you become something else. You become something better. If you change your job and get a new job, you will struggle at first at the new job. But hopefully you don't keep struggling at the new job. But we haven't had a guy stay at Alabama long enough for us to know, because people were complaining about the bowl all season long. Just what is he doing with Jalen Hurts? Right? Like, that was the complaint all season. And I promise you, Mike Locksley's going to have moments for Alabama where Tide fans are going to call into whatever sports show they call into. Hopefully this one, Clutch with Keon Rose. Our phone number is 423-800-8949. But they're going to call into whatever show they call into, and they're going to whine and complain about the offense. They're going to whine and complain about how it's not as dynamic as it was a year ago or 2 years ago. And, well, we should have never parted ways with Kiffin. We should have kept Sarkisian. You're going to have the complaints. They're going to be a mile high. But understand the thing that is obvious to everybody else watching your football team. Your team never cared about offense in the first place. It's interchangeable to them. They don't care, right? Nick Saban is a defensive-minded guy. And the reason why I see all of these parallels between the Patriots and the Alabama is not just the length of success. It's the number of guys that are in and out the door. It's the number of guys that have been in and out of offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator for Belichick, right? It's the number of guys that have swapped places on that team, that they let go of Vince Wilfork before it was time for Wilfork. The Patriots are ruthless, and they will drop anybody. And it's only that Robert Kraft has a strong affinity for Tom Brady, that Tom Brady didn't get dropped too. Right? Now, because this run is heavily predicated on the fact that Bill Belichick and Tom Brady work so well together, and that Tom Brady has next to no ego in that locker room and does not mind being told what to do, and does not mind not having the massive contract, and does not mind all of these things. Well, the success of the Patriots is predicated on that. That you can't have an ego in that locker room because Bill Belichick is the team. And they were going to replace Brady with Garoppolo. That was the plan. Right now, whether or not you want to believe that Garoppolo got traded because Brady asked and all that other stuff, I think it happened. But even if it didn't happen quite that way, even if it didn't, you're looking at a situation where that team is run by the coach, and no one is a bigger star on that team than the coach. So you look at Alabama, same thing. And you've got a number of players that they play at any other school, they're the biggest star on the team. Minkah Fitzpatrick, if he plays anywhere else, biggest star on the team. Bo Scarborough, he plays anywhere else, he's the biggest star on the team. And Jalen Hurts, he plays anywhere else and has the seasons that he's had anywhere else. He's the biggest star on the team by far. But no one's a bigger star on that team than Nick Saban. Period. And he'll bench a guy that went 26-2 as a starter in the middle of the national championship game to have a shot to win. And he did. Nick Saban doesn't care about offense, which is why he's going to take a risk with Loxley. Yeah, it is a risk. Here's a guy that's never been an offensive coordinator before. But if it pans out, Alabama just gets to continue rolling with a great offense. And if it doesn't pan out, they're a defensive-minded squad that makes up for it on defense anyway. Right? And it's that you have the opportunity to even take a risk like that in the first place. You even have the opportunity to take risks like that in the first place. Why rich people get richer. It's not some evil of capitalism that causes rich people to get richer, necessarily. It's that once you get rich, you have opportunities that other people don't have. And then you use those opportunities. And hopefully, if everything goes well for you, you make more money, which gives you even more opportunity, which is the reason why the top 1% tend to have everything and everybody else doesn't have anything at all, right? Like, it's not an evil of capitalism. It's known as a Pareto distribution, right? That anytime that there is output of any kind, especially creatively, people have like all the stuff and everybody else doesn't have any. And a good example of this, by the way, is, do you know how many songs are on the internet? Do you have any idea how many millions and millions of songs are on the internet? A lot. And a lot of them are really dang good, and you'll never hear them because those people never got the opportunity to get the exposure, and they try hard and they work hard and they make mixtapes and they upload their music to SoundCloud. And then you got Taylor Swift, who can literally say no to having her music on Spotify. I want people to buy a physical copy of my music. She can literally just say no to digital streaming. That's how rich she is. Like, Taylor Swift gets more opportunities than a local Chattanooga artist. And she gets those opportunities because she's already at the far end of the distribution. So, like, it makes sense. That's where Alabama is. Nick Saban gets to take risks that you don't get to take if you're Jeremy Pruitt and you're Tennessee. He gets to take risks that you don't get to take. And the reason why is because he's been so successful for so long He literally can't lose. He literally can't lose. That's just the way that this works out. Right? Like it's just the law of nature at this point. You're listening to Clutch with Keon Rose on all new Nooga Radio, NoogaRadio.com, 92.7 FM. There is a number of players from Ole Miss who have come out and said that Hugh Freeze deserves a second chance. Now, I'm all for second chance. Right? And I think that there is some fairness in that Hugh Freeze deserves a second chance. He ain't getting one. Like, this is a moot point of a conversation in some way because he ain't getting one. Hugh Freeze did a number of things that were impossibly stupid. While he may deserve a second chance to redeem himself, he also deserves every single bad thing that happened to him. All of it. And when you call a prostitute, you're already doing something wrong. When you call a prostitute on your work phone, you're already doing something wrong. When the work phone is the phone of a public university, you're already doing something wrong. Right? Like everything that he did was wrong from beginning to end. And every bad thing that happened to him is wrong. In fact, a lot of coaches wouldn't be fired necessarily over hiring a prostitute. Like it's a bad public relations look. It is. But I think that Ole Miss was desperate enough to keep Hugh Freeze that I don't think they wanted to fire him. Except Hugh Freeze in his own contract has a morality clause. And if you knew you were being immoral, why would you ever sign a contract that's got a morality clause? I mean, it's the silliest thing. You knew you were doing the wrong thing. Like, why would you ever sign that? Because it's not like Hugh Freeze got to Ole Miss and started calling up prostitutes then. That tends not to be the way that these things work. Like maybe that's exactly what happened. But I doubt it. I strongly doubt it. Things work generally. Generally, you have a history of this stuff. And if you knew you had a history of this stuff, you don't sign a morality clause. That would be my advice to you. Like, don't sign that you won't cheat on your wife into your contract. If you know you're cheating on your wife. Like, that's a no-brainer. Also, try not to be a scumbag and don't cheat on your wife. Generally. Right? And he was at Liberty University giving an appearance on it, him and his wife. And like, man, I don't know what Jedi mind trick Hugh Freeze used to clear this whole thing up with his wife, or if she's just the most forgiving woman on earth. Because the way that went to be public and absolutely embarrassing, the fact that she's there speaks very well of her. But he absolutely deserved to be fired. And I don't know that everybody deserves a second chance. But I think everyone can get one, right? Like, I think everyone has the ability to get one. I don't think you deserve anything, right? A second chance is just a matter of whether or not someone believes in you enough and believes in your change enough. I think you can earn a second chance, but I don't think you deserve one. I think Hugh Freeze is a guy that did everything in his power to make sure that he was in the wrong. So if he gets a second chance, hey, so be it. I'm not going to knock anybody for getting opportunities. But if he doesn't, I mean, that's nothing to cry about. Right? Like, this isn't one of those situations where there were things beyond his control and he lost his job. You always feel bad for people like that. This was not beyond his control. This was in his control. This was under his power. he could have done none of the things that he chose to do. So no, I don't feel bad for Hugh Freeze. Right? Now, I think that means something, that players believe in him, but to be Hugh Freeze and to be a guy whose major selling point is the Christianity, is that he is a Christian, and then to do all of that, yeah, people not trusting you, that makes sense. Right? Like, we all make mistakes, but trust me, when there's a list of prostitute numbers in your phone, you didn't make a mistake. You made a series of mistakes, and you did not stop at any point that you could have quit. At any point that you wanted to get off the ride, you could have gotten off the ride, and you didn't get off. You kept going. That's not a mistake. That is a series of mistakes. Right? Everybody can make a mistake. Of mistakes, and people don't trust you, that's on you. That becomes a you problem. End of story. You're listening to Clutch with Keon Rose on all new Nooga Radio, NoogaRadio.com. You're on 92.7 FM. So, for the Super Bowl, people want to root for the Eagles, which I understand. They're the underdog, and we like underdogs. We like to root for David to beat Goliath. It makes sense, right? We like to act like it was very obvious to people that you were supposed to be rooting for Michael Jordan in the 90s. This is not obvious, right? I've had conversations with my parents about this. People were tired of Michael Jordan and all of his winning. You were tired of hearing about him. You were tired of seeing him in the finals. Why doesn't somebody else get a chance in the finals? Do you know how many people, how many great NBA players never won a ring because Michael Jordan existed in the 90s? Like Karl Malone and John Stockton didn't get a ring. Charles Barkley didn't get a ring. Patrick Ewing didn't get a ring because Michael Jordan existed. Right? And the reasons why Hakeem Olajuwon has 2 rings is because Michael Jordan took time off to play baseball for 2 years. And then Olajuwon was like the next best guy in the league. Number of guys that did not get rings because Michael Jordan existed. That we talk about their legacy in a certain way because Michael Jordan stopped them from getting rings. Like, not everybody loved the run that Michael Jordan was on. Let's not act like that was something that we were all huge fans of. We weren't. That's the same way with the Patriots. Like, we're going to look back on the Patriots a decade and a half from now, and people are going to talk about Tom Brady and Bill Belichick the way we talk about Michael Jordan and Phil Jackson. We're going to talk about those guys in that same way. And everyone's going to act then like we weren't tired of the Patriots and Tom Brady. So I understand why people want to root for the Eagles, because we are tired of Tom Brady, and we're tired of the Patriots, and we're tired of seeing them in the Super Bowl every year. This is now 10 Super Bowls for that team, right? Tom Brady is going for Super Bowl number 7 in terms of victories. Like, how insane is that? That's never being repeated, right? Like, that's never, ever, ever being duplicated. But the Philadelphia Eagles are not the David you want to root for, okay? I don't want to see Eagles fans happy. They don't deserve the happiness. They don't, okay? Like, we want to root for David over Goliath, but what if I told you David was a jerk, right? What if I told you one time that David once booed Santa Claus off the field? Would you want to root for David then? Right? Did you see the way that Eagles fans were acting after they found out they were going to the Super Bowl? You had drunk Eagles fans running around in the Philadelphia subway, literally like running into pillars underground, banging on the train. What are they doing, man? This is the David you want to root for? That's the David you want to root for? That's not the David I want to root for. I'd rather root for Goliath at that point. I'd rather root for Goliath. If what's happening here is I got to root for Eagles fans. I got to root for the city of Philadelphia. Hey, man. I'm going to be the biggest Brady fan for the next 2 weeks. That city does not deserve happiness. They don't. You're listening to Clutch with Keon Rose on all new Nooga Radio, NoogaRadio.com, 92.7 FM. Should the NCAA punish Michigan State? Next.
The Tennessee Valley's news talk leader, Nooga Radio, digital FM 95.3 HD4 and 92.7 FM. 3, 2, 1. Chattanooga Radio, digital FM 95.3 HD4, 92.7 FM's news now.
Rodney English, the head basketball coach for East Hamilton, was suspended after what was described as a verbal altercation at a game 2 nights ago. The school's principal said inappropriate things were said about a player's family. The Hamilton County Department of Education is investigating. Until the investigation is complete, assistant coach Zach Roddenberry will act as head coach. Charges dismissed in a Chattanooga murder case. Trial for 29-year-old Cordarius Robinson was supposed to begin this week. 47-year-old Timothy Harris was shot and killed in his driveway on Olive Street. But evidence was presented which convinced the judge that Mr. Robinson acted in self-defense in the killing of Mr. Harris, so charges were dismissed. Police in Calhoun, Georgia have charged 4 people in connection with a home invasion that happened back in December. The victim tells police the 2 people wearing ski masks broke into his home and attacked him, demanding money. Val St. John, Nooga Radio News Talk, 92.7 News, now.
Chattanooga Morning News with Russ and Val. Weekdays from 6 to 9 a.m. on Nooga Radio, 92.7 FM.
Oh, man, rush. I've got to get stuff for the party. Where can I go that's going to give me a wide selection of beer, wines, and spirits? Oh, I got it. I'll go to Harry's Wine and Spirits, Signal Mountain. Maybe East Brainerd Wine and Spirits in East Brainerd. I could go to Riley's Wines and Spirits in Hickson. Wow, look at the huge selection in here. Look at these great prices. Amazing. Oh, yeah, I'm going to find something for my lady, too. I'm going to make this party a success.
Make your party a success when you stop in at Harry's Wine and Spirits in Signal Mountain, East Brainerd Wine and Spirits in East Brainerd, and Riley's Wine and Spirits in Hickson. An automated nuclear missile defense system has suddenly entered into launch mode, and you are the only one who can stop it. Escape Experience Chattanooga. Your team has just been infected with a deadly virus. Your only hope? There, in an abandoned farmhouse. Escape Experience Chattanooga. Handcuffed in a maximum security prison, you have an hour to flee. Escape Experience Chattanooga. These escape scenarios and more at Chattanooga's best escape room, game, and team building platform. Call now. Slots are limited. Register online at escapeexperience.com/Chattanooga. Escape Experience Chattanooga. If your computer is running slow, if you have viruses, if someone called you asking to get into your computer, just say no. If a screen pops up on your computer saying your data is going to be deleted and you have to call this number, don't call it. You need to call Affordable Computers. You wouldn't invite a stranger to come into your house to look at all your books and records, so why would you invite someone to look at your records on your computer? With one wrong click of the mouse, you could be allowing access into your entire system. At Affordable Computers, we can stop them now. Don't be fooled by scammers and pop-ups that tell you must call this number or your hard drive is going to be deleted. You need to call Affordable Computers. Call Affordable Computers now. Microsoft is never going to call you. Microsoft is never going to ask you to call them. If you see that on your screen, you are being scammed. Stop and call Affordable Computers. 423-499-1975. That's 423-499-1975. In Fort Oglethorpe, call 706-858-5888. That's 706-858-5888. Affordable Computers.
95.3 HD4, 92.7 FM.
Expect fair to partly cloudy skies to continue through your nighttime. Cold overnight, lows mid and upper 20s. Now for your Wednesday, look for some sunshine with a breeze out of the north, though. Light cold, highs up around 40 with more mainly dry and cold weather expected through Friday. Celebrate the new year with Dixieland Fireworks, locally owned with the largest selection around. A Black Hat dealer with the lowest prices in Dixie. Dixieland Fireworks, just off I-75 on Ringgold Road, East Ridge. And I'm Storm Team 12 Chief Meteorologist Patrick Hoare.
Broadcasting live to over 1 million souls in Chattanooga, the Tennessee Valley, and beyond on frequency modulation 92.7. Sean Hannity, 25,000 watts on digital FM 95.3 HD4. CBS Radio News. NASCAR, Bloomberg Markets, David Tulis, streaming strong at Noogaradio.com. Live on YouTube and Facebook. Nooga Radio, News Talk 92.7. Chattanooga Radio.
Hello, Chattanooga. How are you doing? You're listening to Clutch with Keon Rose on all new Nooga Radio, Noogaradio.com, and 92.7 FM. And we've got some Hall of Fame inductees here. We've got some folks who are being inducted into the Hall of Fame. Chipper Jones among them. Chipper Jones, Jim Thome, Vladimir Guerrero, and Trevor Hoffman elected into the Hall of Fame. And that's a good 4 guys there, right? I think the most notable one, not just in this area, not just in this coverage area, but just generally, is Chipper Jones, right? Like, I have a lot of friends who are Braves fans, who are not from here and are not from Georgia because of Chipper Jones. Right. And when I first moved to Texas, I watched a lot of Braves baseball for whatever reason. They were always on. Right. And so you need 75% to gain entry into the Hall of Fame. If you get more than 5%, you get to stay on the ballot. That's how it works. Chipper Jones, 97% of the vote. Voters said Chipper Jones should be in the Hall of Fame. Vlad Guerrero had 92.9%. Jim Thome had 89%. And Trevor Hoffman had 79%. So all of those guys are going to be inducted into the Hall of Fame class. The biggest Hall of Fame class that we've ever had is the 5-man inductee Hall of Fame class of 1936 that included Babe Ruth, Walter Johnson, Ty Cobb, Honus Wagner, and Christy Mathewson. Right? So it's like 4 guys is a lot. Generally speaking, the last time we had 4, or the 4 inductee classes that we've had so far, 1947, 1955, 2015, and 2018. So maybe what we're seeing here is that some of these Hall of Fame classes are going to be growing. Because when you look at some of the guys that just missed it, especially Edgar Martinez and Mike Mussina, like, I find it hard to believe that those guys are not going to necessarily get in. And then you still have some guys that I think should be in and are not in. For instance, Curt Schilling should be in. Curt Schilling is a jackwagon. Okay? He is a man who has controversial opinions, and he's not capable of expressing these controversial opinions in a way that is really constructive or helpful. It often comes off as being very hateful and divisive. And I don't support anything that Curt Schilling has said. Like, whenever Curt Schilling says something about transgender people, he manages to make it sound like the most bile-filled commentary possible. Right? Or when he talks about gay marriage or anything else, like Curt Schilling has said a number of things that are absolutely ridiculous. And I don't condone them in any way. But if you're telling me that Curt Schilling's political opinions are a good reason to keep him out of the Hall of Fame, you're being insane. Right? Curt Schilling, by the way, like, there are plenty of good baseball reasons for Curt Schilling to not be in the Hall of Fame. Right? Which is that when you look at Curt Schilling's averages, his regular season pitching averages, you look at his ERA in the regular season, like, Curt Schilling it's average. Right? Like, it's very average. There's nothing special about it. The reason why I think Curt Schilling needs to be in the Hall of Fame, though, is what he did in the postseason. He elevated himself to another level in the postseason. His ERA is insane. The big-time playoff moments, which I think matters when you're trying to vote someone into the Hall of Fame, especially the Baseball Hall of Fame, is when guys tend to get into the Baseball Hall of Fame, you have specific magical memories of these guys. Right? And you could talk about the bloody sock. The bloody sock is controversial. I think the bloody sock is a hoax. That's my hot take. I think the bloody sock is a hoax. But even then, the memory of it and the memory of Curt Schilling dispatching the Yankees after being down 0-3 in the playoff series, like that to me, that's big time. And that guy deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. Right? Like, don't vote on that guy's political opinions. What does that have to do with baseball? That doesn't have anything to do with baseball. Nothing at all, right? Like he's got very, very incredibly ultra conservative ideas and opinions to the point of ridiculosity, by the way. Like, these are not like your average, I don't know. I don't think your average conservative thinks like Curt Schilling thinks, but it doesn't matter because it's a baseball honor, right? Like, we're not voting Curt Schilling Man of the Year. We're voting Curt Schilling into the Baseball Hall of Fame. So put him in the Hall of Fame. But no, he gets 51.2% of the vote. And I feel like I say this every year. Like, I've been saying this every year since he's been eligible to be in the Hall of Fame, that 51% is insulting. Like, if Curt Schilling had 71% and he just missed it, this isn't a conversation that I have. But the fact that it's 51%, that is insulting. Curt Schilling is behind Roger Clemens and Barry Bonds, who are known steroid users. And again, I don't even have a problem with the steroid guys getting into the Hall of Fame because I think that we already have some of those guys in the Hall of Fame. We just never caught them. And so the question now is the Hall of Fame guys you caught using steroids? Because you definitely have guys in the Hall of Fame that used. There's no way you don't from that era. There's no way you don't. You're listening to Clutch with Keon Rose on all new Nooga Radio, NoogaRadio.com. But good for Chipper Jones getting in. I really like that. That guy had an incredibly long career, an industrious career, and he was productive for a really long time. And clutch as hell, by the way. Like, it's hard to argue with Chipper Jones going in. There were 422 ballots, and Chipper Jones, man, 97%, and that makes a lot of sense. But yeah, this induction class is big, and I think we're going to have some big ones. I do, and I'm going to give you some opinions on why I think Barry Bonds ought to be in the Hall of Fame already. But, you know, one of them is that Barry Bonds had an on-base percentage that was insane in the prime of his career, and arguably the part of his career where there were not steroids, actually. And so, yeah, like the on-base percentage for Barry Bonds was ridiculous. And a lot of it was fear. A lot of it was he got walked all the time. And there's a YouTube channel called Chart Party. And the guy broke down how many times Barry Bonds would have wound up on base if Barry Bonds never swung at a pitch. He would still have been walked enough to wind up on base and be the on-base percentage leader by miles. And on that alone, right, Barry Bonds just deserves, like, the fear that Barry Bonds instilled in pitchers, that alone, I think, should put Barry Bonds in the Hall of Fame. But that's neither here nor there, because that was before the steroids. That was before the roids. Think about that. But that's neither here nor there. You're listening to Clutch with Keon Rose on all new Nooga Radio, NoogaRadio.com, 92.7 FM. Larry Nassar has been sentenced to 40 to 175 years in prison, right? And I say good because there are about 140 victims. If you gave Larry Nassar a year in prison for every woman he victimized, you'd still basically have the same sentence. So for that, I say good, right? Because he was a serial sexual abuser. And there is no place for a guy like Larry Nassar on this planet, right? Like, I don't even know how you would begin to rehabilitate what that guy has become. I don't even know. And I'm not really that big on throwing people away in prison to finish out their lives in prison. I think that the prison system is fundamentally broken, and I think that it should be about rehabilitation. But when it comes to a guy like Larry Nassar, who did all of the things that he did to children, to young women, I say you lock the guy up and throw away the key. I say you throw him in a hole and throw away the hole, right? Like that gets me in a place I don't know how to feel. The level of outrage that I feel is still not anything to the level of outrage that you could hear that the judge felt like. She considered it her honor to end his life in prison, which I don't know. I don't know if I particularly like a judge. Speaking in those terms, I want a judge that's passing on a sentence that someone deserves, not based on their feelings. But then judges make sentences based on their feelings all the time, and that's you're asking for the human element. When you appoint a judge, you want someone who's going to be a human and say, as a human being, I've looked at this and said no. So Larry Nassar's going to jail and he's never, ever, ever coming out, basically. But that's not even the real story here, because Larry Nassar worked at Michigan State for a number of years, where he was there long enough to terrorize a number of women. And there are people calling for the death penalty of Michigan State's gymnastics program. There are people calling for some kind of NCAA investigation and punishment. And I'm telling you right now, I don't think that should ever be the case. And here's why. The NCAA has no teeth. They decide when they're going to investigate something, when they're not. They decide that they're going to go ahead and enforce their judgments when they feel like it gives them the publicity, like they matter. They don't. The NCAA should not have the ability to sentence Michigan State to anything because they do not matter. The NCAA does not have the ability to investigate anything. They don't have the wherewithal. They don't have the resources to investigate anything until a law enforcement agency is there investigating in the first place. So at that point, just let the law enforcement agency do their job. Do you honestly believe that people are avoiding sexual misconduct in the way that happened at Penn State because of what the NCAA did? Right? Like, if someone is going to be the next Jerry Sandusky and they're going to decide to not be the next Jerry Sandusky, I think they're going to decide that based on the fact that Jerry Sandusky is going to jail. And I think that state officials and I think that federal government officials should be the ones hitting the university with the punishment, hitting the university with the punishments of negligence, especially when you consider that Michigan State is a public university. It's not private. Like, what's the NCAA going to do? There is a gigantic scandal surrounding players basically being paid through a number of means, shoe deals in particular. Shoe companies like Nike and Under Armour and Reebok. They were all in on it. Right? This is not violation of federal law. The manner in which it was done wound up being violation of federal law. The FBI was investigating it. The NCAA never had a clue. So yeah, they get to come in after the fact and try and dispense justice, but it's no longer effective. They were never there in the investigation in the first place. They were never on the front end. The NCAA doesn't have any teeth. And if you're not going to have teeth, business sentencing any school to a death penalty, right? Because who do you affect with the death penalty? You think you affect the culture of the school? Really? You think you do? How do you figure? Like, there are schools that want to avoid NCAA investigation. But there are schools that are really good at avoiding it. Louisville being one, for instance. Rick Pitino was in charge of a basketball program that saw Louisville recruits being taken to parties, being bused to parties where there were prostitutes that the school paid for. Right? And this was happening for years. The NCAA didn't have a clue. And then they come in after the fact and dispense justice. If you're not going to have the teeth on the front end, you don't get to show up on the back end and decide the fates of many people, right? Because when you talk about the death penalty, you're also affecting the students who invested time in going to that university and choosing that university in large part to continue the athletic sides of their careers as well as the academic. You put them in a bad spot. You make their lives needlessly difficult when you do this. And I'm not saying no school should ever lose their program over this. What I'm saying is the NCAA being the arbiter of this is laughable at best. And at worst, it's Mark Emmert and a bunch of his out-of-touch colleagues in a room deciding the fates of administrators and students for an investigation they're always late on. The NCAA, and I have 100% confidence in saying this, NCAA is late to 100% of these investigations. They're usually following the lead of state government or federal government. What do they exist for? What are they there for? They don't investigate until after someone else is investigated. They don't always give out the punishments they're supposed to give out. Because remember, they're the ones that are supposed to be in charge of whether or not a school is up to the academic standards. And here you have a university like North Carolina involved in wholesale fraud. Wholesale fraud. They had pretend classes for students to go to so they could get a good grade, so they could keep playing basketball. The NCAA discovered this. They investigated it. They found it to be true. No punishment. You have the University of Syracuse investing entrenched in wholesale fraud. The same thing, which again, the NCAA has more of a right to levy a punishment on this because it's actually one of their rules being violated. Not a state law, not a federal law, an NCAA rule. And you've got students at Syracuse getting grades for classes they did not go to, with there being enough proof that the coach knew and that the administration knew. No punishment. You've got Rick Pitino busing not even freshmen, but you've got young recruits being taken to go see prostitutes. This is happening for years. Does the NCAA finally act? Yep. They take away postseason eligibility for the University of Louisville a year after the story breaks. So they don't do it the year that it happens, right? Like Louisville still gets to go to the tournament the year that it happens. They don't do it the year that it happens. They do it the year after, right? Where there are new students in who didn't have anything to do with this. And even the students that did have something to do with it, they're getting punished too, even though at the time they were minors. They're getting punished too. Like the NCAA has a problem. Their only means of punishment also punishes students, right? Like they want to punish the administration and tell the administration, clean up your act, or we're going to take away eligibility from you. But the NCAA doesn't levy fines. They don't take away money. They don't close off access to boosters. They don't do any of that stuff. So what are they there for? They don't hurt this school. They don't hurt any of these schools where it really counts. in the wallet, in the pocketbook. So what on earth are you actually there for? What purpose do you actually serve? Like none. The NCAA does not serve a purpose at all. They just exist to act like there's someone in control, right? They're the little guy in the Wizard of Oz behind the machine. You feel like there's someone in control because every now and then they show up and they say, you can't go to the postseason. We're going to take away scholarships from you. Every now and then they do that stuff and you feel like, oh, well, there's someone in control. But they have no control. They investigate nothing originally. Punishments do they actually level up? You're listening to Clutch with Keon Rose on allnewnoogaradio.com, 92.7 FM. Remember, folks, it's not how you start, it's how you finish. Stay clutch, and I'll see you in 24 hours.
Truex Jr. is off the pace and he is headed to the pit lane. Elliott Powers around the outside. Michael McDowell pops a right front tire. Here's Martin Truex to the bottom. Blaney blocks him off too. Meanwhile, Chase Elliott went 4 wide on the back straightaway. They're side by side for the lead.
Hear it live on Chattanooga's official NASCAR radio station.
Nooga Radio, 92.7 FM, 95.3 HD4.
The voice of NASCAR.
3, 2, 1.
Chattanooga Radio, Digital FM 95.3 HD4, 92.7 FM's news now.
The search for the Marion County robbery suspect Dwayne Halfaker is back on today as Tennessee Highway Patrol helicopters flew overhead trying to track down the man who's believed to be armed and dangerous. Marion County schools were closed. The prosecution rests in the Benjamin Brewer trial. Testimony was heard from 15 different state witnesses over the last 2 days. The defense begins its presentation today. After it rests, the jury will determine whether Mr. Brewer is guilty or innocent. He's accused of killing 6 with his semi in a traffic crash on I-75 back in 2015. A rape investigation in Hickson has been reopened after new evidence was given to the DA's office. Hamilton County Sheriff's Office investigators are working with the DA's office as the investigation moves forward. They're not releasing any other info on the allegations so far. What we do know is that it involves a Hickson High School student. Russell Stroud, Nooga Radio News Talk 92.7. Now.
Chattanooga Morning News with Russ and Val. Weekdays from 6 to 9 a.m. on Nooga Radio, 92.7 FM.
Expect clear skies to continue through your nighttime. Cold out there overnight and frosty by morning. Lows into the mid and upper 20s. For Thursday, lots of sunshine. Slow warming trend picking up. Highs lower to middle 50s. Lows near 30 tomorrow night. 58 to 60 on Friday. The skiing is still good at Cloudmont Ski Resort. Come on down to Mentone, Alabama to Cloudmont, just a short drive away for day or night skiing. Great winter fun for the whole family. For more, cloudmont.com. And I'm Storm Team 12 Chief Meteorologist Patrick Orr.
The Tennessee Valley's news talk leader, Nooga Radio, Digital FM 95.3 HD4 and 92.7 FM.
Gold, 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 and more gold. And always buy American. At Rick Davis Gold and Diamonds, you'll always get better rates than the banks. We'll convert your silver, diamonds, cash into gold, gold, gold. Precious American gold. Certified by the federal government. Buy American. Rick Davis Gold and Diamonds. 499-9162. Call 499-9162 and visit Rick at 5301 Brainerd Road, Chattanooga. Gold, 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 and more gold.
So you forgot something that sparkles, a little bit of bling for Christmas? Valentine's is just ahead, so now's your chance to get it right. And Goss Company Jewelers has got you covered. Diamond stud earrings, rings, hoops, necklaces. Go now while you're thinking about it. Let Charlie Goss wait on you. He'll take care of you. Problem solved. Custom diamond studs start at under $200. That's 30% off. Goss Company Jewelers behind Chili's on Gun Barrel. That's it. Goss Company Jewelers.
The Harlem Globetrotters will dribble into Chattanooga with their action-packed World Tour at the UTC McKenzie Arena on Friday, January 26th. Witness amazing Globetrotter moments that become unforgettable Globetrotter memories. Feel the dunks, see the ball handling, experience antics that will have kids of all ages laughing the entire time. Don't miss the world-famous Harlem Globetrotters at UTC McKenzie Arena. One day only, playing Friday, January 26th at 7 p.m. Tickets are available at the box office or harlemglobetrotters.com.
Hi, this is Eric Pelton with E.J. Pelton & Company. there are new tax changes with businesses. Smart business owners are talking to their accountant for tax strategies.
Take advantage of the tax credits and deductions available for higher education expenses. Requirements and restrictions are complex, so get the facts and guidance you need to obtain maximum savings.
This tax tip was provided by E.J. Pelton Company, located on Dayton Pike, 332-3339, Brainerd Road, 622-3156.
If your computer is running slow, if you have viruses, if someone called you asking to get into your computer, just say no. If a screen pops up on your computer saying your data is going to be deleted and you have to call this number, don't call it. You need to call Affordable Computers. You wouldn't invite a stranger to come into your house to look at all your books and records, so why would you invite someone to look at your records on your computer? With one wrong click of the mouse, you could be allowing access into your entire system. At Affordable Computers, we can stop them now. Don't be fooled by scammers and pop-ups that tell you must call this number or your hard drive is going to be deleted. You need to call Affordable Computers. Call Affordable Computers now. Microsoft is never going to call you. Microsoft is never going to ask you to call them. If you see that on your screen, you are being scammed. Stop and call Affordable Computers. 423-499-1975. That's 423-499-1975. In Fort Oglethorpe, call 706-858-5888.
WBLZ HD4 Ottawa, W224AZ Chattanooga.
92.7 Digital FM 95.3 HD4 Chattanooga.
This is CBS News on the Hour, presented by Grasshopper.
I'm Pam Coulter. His attorney general and some of his aides have already been interviewed by investigators in the Russia probe, and now President Trump says he's willing to do it as well. CBS's Major Garrett.
The president said, and I quote, "I would love to do that, and as soon as possible." We asked, what does that mean? He said 2 to 3 weeks, pending White House attorneys, and the president said, quote, under oath.
Talking to reporters in his chief of staff's office, Mr. Trump also said he could support a pathway to citizenship for the so-called dreamers.
Whatever they're doing, if they do a great job, I think it's a nice thing to have the incentive of, after a period of years, being able to become a citizen.
The issue of sanctuary cities caused some mayors to say no thanks to a meeting with the president today.
The Justice Department sent a letter warning 23 cities that could use subpoena power to determine the immigration status of people in local custody. Chicago Mayor Rahm Emanuel, in town for the U.S. Conference of Mayors winter meeting, skipped the White House event.
The idea that the President of the United States and the Justice Department would arrest any one of us for believing in our ideals and carrying out the law of our city is wrong.
New York Mayor Bill de Blasio.
A lot of mayors, even if they weren't one of the ones listed in this letter, a lot of mayors felt it was a slap in the face to the entire U.S. Conference of Mayors.
Bill Rakoff, CBS News, Washington.
A Michigan judge doesn't want convicted sex offender Larry Nassar to ever leave prison.
I'm giving you 175 years, which is 2,100 months.
She called it a death sentence. Taryn Look is one of the many women who said the former doctor sexually assaulted them.
But if it was not for these women all week speaking their truth, I would not be able to stand here and speak in front of you right now.
4 elected to baseball's Hall of Fame today.
Chipper Jones gets under one. It's a question of fair or foul. Down the line. Gone!
Among them, Chipper Jones, an 8-time All-Star third baseman for the Atlanta Braves.
This has been 35, 36 years in the making. And to have it culminate today with all the people that I love and care about the most being here to share it with me, it was pretty awesome.
Also to be inducted at Cooperstown in July, prolific power hitter and 5-time All-Star Jim Thome, who played for 6 teams, Vladimir Guerrero and Trevor Hoffman. Both Jones and Thome are among those elected in their first year of eligibility by members of the Baseball Writers Association of America. The Dow was up 41 points today. This is CBS News.
Grasshopper, the entrepreneur's phone system. Turn your mobile phone into a business phone system with Grasshopper. See how it works at grasshopper.com.
When you're hiring, you want qualified candidates fast, and it can be hard to know where to find them. More than 3 million businesses use Indeed.com, the world's #1 job site. Whether you need entry-level or highly skilled employees, Indeed helps you find great talent and make the right hire. Indeed is offering new users a $50 credit to give their first job post premium visibility as a sponsored job. Redeem this offer at Indeed.com/promo. That's Indeed.com/promo. Terms, conditions, and quality standards apply.
Ace is the place with the helpful hardware, folks.
Thanks to you, Ace was awarded its 11th straight